Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video is that time of the month again, where we break down the legends over here on OPTC, and we're doing our August SUGO Fest tier list, and what a month has it been! And the celebrations continue, obviously, with all of the Film Red stuff. So, in today's video, there's a lot to talk about. We have two Super SUGO Fest characters, we have two other legends, we have 6+ Shiki, and we have the best batch of level limit break characters in the game. So I'm going to stop rambling, we're going to dive into the video. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to vote the like button for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. I do want to make it known that this is just my personal opinion. Whilst playing the game, I do have at the moment I have every single legend except for the Fire Tank Pirates. But I haven't played with stuff like Zoro Sanji because I just pulled them. Stuff like Ulti. So there is a bit of discrepancy there. But let me know if you agree in the comment section. If you don't agree, let me know down there as well. Because I love to have a chat about this sort of stuff. Keep it positive, keep it friendly. Remember, it's just opinion based, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well. As always, enjoy the video and let's dive into the tier list. Alright, so as always, huge shout out to OPTC Database as well as the tier list maker for the images provided. Like I said, if you guys agree with this, let me know in the comment section. If you don't, let me know too. But don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. Like 60% of you guys aren't subs. So if you enjoy this type of tier list content, make sure to let me know. Alright, so this is last month's tier list up here. My top tier, I just want to break it down for you guys if this is the first time watching. My top tier, this is my top 10 as of July 2022. Now, this is going to change. God tier is basically the next sort of 10 to 15 characters. These characters are pretty close to being the top 10. They just don't have that much usability as these characters do. They're still like some of the best characters in the game. They're just not this sort of top 10 line. Now, when it comes to me ranking my characters, I like to look at the characters as their usability across the entire game. Now, that does include everything bar sort of PvP, because PvP I like to do my own sort of tier list with that sort of stuff, but we do talk about it on this particular tier list, but it doesn't heavily influence. Mainly, how good is the character in all types of content. The big ones being Kizuna, Treasure Map, Arenas, and short content like Clashes, Colosseums, Arenas, those extra island events, the point farming events, all that sort of stuff, and how viable they are. Long content like Garbs Challenges, Heavenly Demon 2, Revolutionary Army 2, the standard Garbs Challenges, the 10-star events, as well as the Forests, how well they like to perform there. Utility in their captain is a huge buff. If characters have utility in their captain, they usually rank highly. Stuff like Last Tap as well as Super Tandem comes into play heavily, how effective that is for said team, and really how effective is a character on the team. So if you look at something like White Beard and Roger, you can basically slap them on any team you like. Their switch ability still provides so much. Their special Removing Despair provides so much, as well as their special being a rainbow attack or orb booster for the entire crew can be very beneficial, even if they're not getting boosted on the team. So that also comes into play as well. As I mentioned, end game players will probably value stuff like Kizuna and Treasure Map characters a lot more than, say, stuff like Arenas and stuff like Garbs Challenges and Forests, because they probably already cleared that kind of content, or like most characters can complete the arenas and stuff like that. It's just about how fast they do it, how well they do it, how easy they are to team build for, and obviously how good is stuff like their hybrid options, their colors, and their classes. That does change as obviously more characters get released, as well as classes getting a rise or colors getting a rise. For example, stuff like Quick this month with Shanks and Beckman are getting a buff, but it doesn't really make them the best, but obviously all Quick characters do get a little bit of a buff there. So that's enough about that. Let me know if I should change anything to my criteria, if you have any suggestions for the criteria, or if you have any suggestions for the tiers as well, let me know in the comment section. Next, we have Amazing. Basically, this tier here, I just want to change to S tier all-rounder. So basically, what the Amazing tier always meant was sort of these characters can be used as very good captains or very good sailors or subs, basically. The S tier captains, obviously, like some of these characters can as well, but these particular characters are the ones that I find that I'm using more as either captains and subs nowadays. So that's sort of what I wanted to sort of distinguish there. Next, we've got the S tier captain. These characters, if you're running them, you're always using them as your captains. You're not really using them as a said sub. You're pretty much using them as your captain if you were going to run them. Your S tier subs, these guys here are basically always used as subs, whilst they might have good captain abilities. You're running these guys as subs. No one's running Sober Mask anymore as a captain. Like, even like Shanks' crew with his special bind removal, he's 4.5 times captain, he's due form. No one is running this guy as a captain anymore, just because like the power creep is real, right? Even like Big Mom, like she has a very good captain ability, but her end of turn damage can be detrimental because she doesn't have cooldown. So for that reason, she is an S tier sub. Next, we've got the AT captains. Basically, these captains just aren't as good as these captains here. They might be lacking something like a good super type. Their multipliers aren't as good. They might be a little bit wonky. Something like say, Final Tap Luffy, right? Final Tap Luffy has an amazing captain ability, 2.75 times special, but like he doesn't give orbs. Building team stream's really wonky. His Final Tap isn't exactly insane, but he is still a pretty good unit nevertheless. Something like Kaido, for example, like if you can get the double damage off, he works amazing. If you get the auto triggers off, it's awesome, but he gets absolutely nerfed by full immunity. So there's that, you know. So next we have AT subs. These guys pretty much are only ever using these guys as subs. Again, they might have usable captain abilities, but you're really going to hybrid them up with something more, like, much more stronger if you were going to use them. And then down here, you have the solid hybrid option. These characters here, you're always hybriding, like, with another unit. Like, whilst they may be okay, like, you're always hybriding these guys up with something else, and you're basically just running them for fun, I guess is the best way to put it. Finally, you have the niche or content, when content requires sort of tier, like Buggy for double drops, XP with Jack, Sabo Koala with their ability to just completely remove the negative and Orb Enable, Ragey for her poison stuff. You guys get the gist where I'm going with this. If you guys want more information, let me know in the comment section, we can chat. Support tier, like, whilst these characters might have some sort of use elsewhere, like, I'm only ever using these guys as support, and that's why they're here. The Rare Recruit tier, these guys here basically are just like Rare Recruit level, or Rare Recruits do what they do better, and then Level Limit Break, needs a Level Limit Break, or Dookie, these characters just suck, like, don't even worry about them. They just suck. However, we did have a bit of a change in the guard. As you can see down here, we have 5 new legends to talk about, and we have some Level Limit Break characters. So, let's talk about the Level Limit Break characters first, and that way we can sort of slide into Shiki. So first of all, we're going to talk about Zephyr. Now, Zephyr actually got a fair, like, buff, because Shooter's got a very good captain in Beckman and Shanks. This guy's captain, if you have him Level Limit Break expanded, is actually a 5.25 times captain to Shooters. He gives 1 turn of cooldown. With a matching slot, he's 5.25, sorry, 4.5 otherwise, HP by 1.2, and if there is an orb boosting special, he's going to extend it by 1 turn. If you don't have him Limit Break expanded, which most players probably won't, he's just a 5 times captain with an orb, 4.25 otherwise. He doesn't have the ability to extend the orbs, but you do need 6 shooters on the crew. So 6 shooters on the crew is a huge detriment to this guy. However, his special did get pretty good if you get him to Level Limit Break 5. He reduces enemies' HP by 30%, shooter characters attack by 2.25 for 3 turns, deals 100 times his attack in non-type damage in tap timing bonuses for 3 turns, changes all orbs including blocking to matching, and if the crew has a damage reduction status, when the special is launched, he removes defense up and damage reduction and Blind and Despair by 3 turns. So basically, if you have Iron on the team, you can use this guy after Iron, and then you get 5 turns of the damage reduction effects, because Iron removes 2 of them, as well as 5 turns of Blind and Despair. You get 3 turns of an attack boost, you get full border orbs, so it's actually a pretty decent special for shooters. So it's not actually terrible when it comes to that regard. Now, if you hybrid this guy up with the new Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo unit, he can be very, very good. Like, very, very good. However, most of the time, you are going to use him as a sub on a shooter team. The problem is, shooters, they're not really there, you know? Like, they're not there where they sort of need to be for him to be, like, an amazing unit. Before I continue, actually, I totally forgot. Like, I want to check the tier list to see if there's any changes. And there's going to be some big changes, to be honest. Like, there's going to be some huge changes. So, let's quickly do that. I'm going to leave Zephyr in Solid Hybrid for now. Mainly because shooters, they still need a little bit of work. They're on the right path. However, with this Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo unit, they are getting a lot better. And remember, you do need this guy at Level Limit Break 5 for him to be amazing. You do need 6 shooters on the crew. But if you are running a shooter team, he is going to be an incredible sub if you do have him at Level Limit Break 5. So we might put him up here in A-tier sub, because I do want to do some big changes to this entire tier list, in which we're actually going to go through right now. So I'm going to leave the top 10 as we go, because I don't really want to change those characters per se until we talk about the characters that will either replace them. But in the God tier, I do want to bring some characters down. I do want to bring Blackbeard down. I do think he sort of had his time in the sun. He really struggles with his Super Tandem ability, because you need a lot of the Blackbeard pirates. There's a lot of, like, getting cooldowns to him is very detrimental, and it's a very, very challenging time. As for Kinemon and Denjiro, nowadays, like, with Super Block being a thing, you can definitely I can definitely recognize their Wano Orb mechanic is great, but dual units as a captain is very, very hard to find their way up into this god tier. They don't have any like crazy utility and stuff like Grand Voyage. They don't have any crazy like or amazingness when it comes to stuff like Kazuna or they do have very good viability in Kazuna, sorry, because of their resistance mechanic if you get the super switch cooldowns. But for stuff like Treasure Map, for stuff like other content, they're not that amazing, because Slashers still are a little bit wonky without having like a crazy captain, besides something like Wiping and Roger. But their switchability can be very, very good to give the resistance debuff. But I just don't think that they're at this sort of level what these other characters can sort of provide. As for everyone else in God tier, like Frankie is just still very, very good for Grand Voyage. Roger is still incredible just as like a new player, like to get you through pretty much any type of content, whether that be forest, garbs challenges, basically everything that isn't like Kazuna, really. Roger is just absolutely insane for, but he's still a Rainbow 3 times attack boost, so he still can be used. Kid, very, very good for most pieces of content, but for new players, he can be a little bit challenging to use. The waifus have one of the highest color affinity boosts in the game the highest color affinity, but for 2 very good classes now, so they definitely need to stay here. And X-Drake's still an amazing captain, has a very, very good special. Carrot and Wanda, for me, just keep getting better and better. Especially with the release of this Shanks, they're just like amazing sub for Shanks. I wouldn't say they're in their top 10, but like their captain ability, if you can use it, can be very strong as well. Sasaki, hands down the best of the Toby Ropo now. It's not even a contest. So yeah, there's that. Going down to the S tier all-rounder, I am going to drop Dofi down to S tier captain. Same with Vivi, because like nowadays, if you're running these 2 characters, you're basically running them for their special bind removal and their captain. A lot of other characters can sort of do that. And honestly, like as much as I used to love this Dofi and how much I love this Vivi, like I could not tell you the last time I actually used these 2 characters. So like usability and viability and relevance in the game is a big factor as well. So I'm going to bring them down to ST captain. Whilst they are still very, very good, like very, very good, they're just sort of not where they need to be with that sort of tier because of the power creep moving forward. As for Carrot, I'm going to bring her down to S tier sub. Most of the time nowadays, you're using Carrot as a sub. You're never really using her as a captain per se because you want her captain swap mechanic and to get through defensive effects as a captain, which is great. But with this new Ben Beckman and Shanks, I keep doing that. Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, that defensive effect, there's been a bit of a change in the guard there. I am going to bring up Hiyori. I'm going to bring her into the S tier all-rounder. I have heard the cries of the community like, Stump, the 2 turns of Wano Orbs are so good. She has Bind of Despair. She's such a great sub. Stunning with Wano Orbs. Yeah, she does. And she's going to see a lot of really good play in stuff like Kazuna. She's getting around Super Block Orbs is going to be great for that. She is a Super Type Dex unit, which is super, super nice. She can remove 7 times Resilience, which is really odd for a Super Type, but in saying that, since I've pulled her, I still haven't used her. She's sort of just sitting there. Oh, it's a lie. I used her in Treasure Map, and that's probably where I'm going to see this unit shine the most. Because you start with a full board of Wano Orbs, and then you use something like the Cat Dog combination, and you can just superclass like the first 2 stages, keep the Wano Orbs, and get around those mechanics in the final stage. So I have heard your cries. I'm going to put her in SD all-round now for now, but I don't think she deserves to be here per se. I honestly think she deserves to be down here in S tier sub, personally, because that's where you are going to use her. She's a super sub, right? A super sub. But we'll have to see how relevant Super Block Rolls become. If they're not super relevant, then like these 2, like that's why I've sort of got these 2 characters here and not higher. But if they become more relevant, we will move them back up in the future. Tier list is changing all the time, as you guys can see here. As for Black Maria and Who's Who, I've been severely disappointed with Black Maria. She removes paralysis in her kit, which is great. However, like, if you're getting paralysis removal, you're using Law, or you're going to be using another character we're about to talk about as well. As for Who's Who, I really like Who's Who as a speedrunning captain. I think he's very, very good. However, getting his cooldowns, like, it's a 14-turn cooldown for him, and he gives cooldowns. I wish it was higher. Like, lower. I wish it was much lower. For me, I think Black Maria is by far the worst of the 3. But she can remove paralysis in her kit. She gives matching orbs. And hybriding these 2 characters up, or hybriding like Black Maria and Sasaki, Who's Who and Sasaki, how they're meant to sort of be run works incredibly well. Like, it works very, very well. As for everyone else in this tier, I'm very happy with leaving them there. Robin and Jinbei, I really want to drop down to S tier sub, purely because, like, I only ever use this character as a sub nowadays. Like, I could not tell you the last time I used them as a captain. They have a viable captain ability. However, like, this character pops up on my Kazuna teams everywhere I go. For stuff like Treasure Map, to get around D-Bus, they do so much. So they definitely deserve an S tier sub spot. However, like, it's the same argument with Hiyori, but I think Hiyori's probably a little bit of a better captain than these guys are. So I am gonna drop them down to S tier sub now. But like I can definitely respect how good they are as a sub, and they're probably a little bit better than some of these other units here. As for Smoothie, I don't have Smoothie actually. Sorry, that's another character I don't have. I'm gonna drop her down into A tier captain. I can recognize that she can be used as a captain. She's got a good special. But again, now with like some other characters coming out with doing chain boundary, mainly the Kuzan, V1 Kuzan. I don't even know where he is. Whereabouts is he? Here. This character sort of drops down. As for V1 Kuzan, I'm gonna drop him down to A tier captain. Literally with the release of Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, that's the reason I'm dropping him, because they just do what he does but better. And if you are going to be using Kuzan, most of the time you want to activate that sort of craziness that his captain can provide. But he is a very good option for a chain boundary unit. But look, with the power creep, I do have to like obviously drop characters down, otherwise like it will just look way too wonky. As for everyone else in S tier sub, I'm pretty happy with them. As for S tier captain, I'm pretty happy with everyone that's in the S tier captain range as well. I really don't like this Odin, but I do recognize what he can do. Moria, it's probably almost time for Moria to drop down as well. Maybe Zoro's fine because he gives the special bind removal. Any character that has special bind removal is always going to find their way into S tier captain. As for everyone else, I think we're pretty much hunky-dory with everyone else here. We might drop some A tier captains soon. From what they do, like I feel like Usopp's probably a solid hybrid option with the shooter meta coming out now. As for Dofi, I think he's probably a solid hybrid option now as well. Everyone else that has super types and stuff like that, they definitely deserve to be here. This Sabo, he's pretty interesting. I think we'll leave this Sabo. I think he was the best of that sort of level limit break batch. As for A tier subs, coming down to A tier subs, anyone to move down to rare recruit tier, I do think that like this Luffy can probably go down to rare recruit tier. Like, he's just, you're never really going to be seeing, like, that sort of usage from him. As for anyone else here, your switchability is still incredible. I tell you what I probably want to do, actually. I think I want to drop you down into A tier sub. Luffy and Zoro, like, getting their 2.5 times attack boost is actually pretty rare. Their switchability is great, but, like, so is Mihawk Perona's, right? So is Luffy and Zoro's, right? So, there's a pretty good, viability to drop them down into A tier sub. Shiroshi Mansari, very good sub still. Eno still a very good sub. I do feel like these two characters now, like V1 Akainu, V3 Akainu and Sabo, they're probably looking at dropping down soon, but we will leave them here for now. We could probably drop them down into like solid hybrid options. Definitely Akainu into a solid hybrid option. But he's still a really good sub as well. So like, I don't know. Like maybe we'll leave him there for now. Solid hybrid option. Zoro is definitely a solid hybrid option. Like, you can use his special for Slash's attack boost and whatnot, but like you're just using the switchability of Whitebeard and Roger at that point. As I mentioned, Zephyr's going to be a really good sub for shooter teams. This Sabo is still a good sub for shooter teams. So is this Ace at level limit break 5. Obviously these characters are all at level limit break 5 as well when we're talking about them. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with where we are there. Let's continue on with the level limit break characters, and let's talk about the next level limit break character from the film batch that was actually, this Neko and Inu has very, very good like Grand Voyage like play. So I guess he's definitely still rare recruit tier though. Yeah, he's still rare recruit tier. Cerebral's just got a huge buff though, but like with Uta, like you're never really using that particular character. Yeah, I think I want to bring like Lucy down into rare recruit tier now. I feel like I want to bring Akainu down, but like with the shooter resurgence, like these characters sort of got a lot better. Even like Luffy and Law, like those characters are pretty much, he's pretty much ready to move down as well. Like, if I'm completely honest, I know a lot of people are going to be salty about that because this man was like really, really good for a long time. We'll put him in solid hybrid option because like I don't think he deserves to be in this A tier sub range. 2.5 times Rainbow Orb booster though, we'll put him back. I'm very indecisive today, as you can see, chat. As you can see. So let's carry on. Let's talk about the new level limit break characters. We spoke about Zephyr. Now we're going to talk about Shiki is going to be talking about it with his 6+, so we won't touch on him. We will talk about where did I put him? Tesoro. I think he's in the support section. Here he is. Tesoro. There he is. Beautiful. So Tesoro, he got a pretty interesting buff. He now doubles belly when he, unless you become captain in the middle of the quest. He's a 4.75 times attack boost as long as you have one of every class, and a 1.35 times HP boost. He increases the chance of landing on matching orbs slightly. Boosts the attack by 5.5 if you land 4 greats, and if you land a perfect, he reduces the attack by 40%. If you have him Limit Break expanded, he's a 2.5 times belly booster. You don't need all the classes. He's a 5 times captain, rainbow, which is crazy. 1.35 times HP boost. Boost the chance of landing on matching orbs, and boost crew's attack by 5.5 instead if you land 4 greats. And after landing 4 perfects, you'll reduce the crew's attack by 40% for the rest of the turn. If you do have one of each of the class on the team, though, he reduces 5 turns of special bind and 5 turns of special reverse. His special now does 500,000 damage to all enemies, changes the top and bottom row to matching, and prevents them from being chained, so he uses the super lock mechanic unless you hit a perfect. Locks the chain at 3.5 for 1 turn, and if you hit 4 greats, carries the chain lock over to a 4 times on the following turn. So what they did with his mechanics, they tailored his special and his, like, captain ability very, very nicely to what this character actually does. Like, removing special bind and special reverse by 5 turns is very, very good. The thing is, you really want, like, to have one of every class on his particular team. Now, he's a driven striker unit. You could hybrid him up with, say, I don't know, like, let's hypothetically say the new Shanks and get Free Spirit and Cerebrals. And that way you can, like, build teams like that. Because he's a 5 times rainbow captain, if you want to get that mechanic of the special reverse and special bind, you obviously need him Limit Break expanded, which is actually really, really cool. However, like, getting that, not a lot of people are going to have, and sort of, like, team building in that regard is going to be very, very challenging. So, most of the time, people have him at level Limit Break 5 with no Limit Break plus. He's still a 4.75 times captain, but you do have to hit 4 greats, and when you don't have his special active, you are going to lose a lot of damage. However, with his special giving a chain lock on an 8-turn cooldown, by the way, very low cooldowns that you can actually get by, like, turn 3, and then you can easily get all this carryover shenanigans with double Tesoro, sorry. I don't know how to say it. But at a 5.5 times captain, your last 2 characters are going to be hitting incredibly hard, and locking your orbs to, like, give yourself matching orbs is going to be great as well. So I'm going to put him in A-tier captain because we are looking at him in his best case scenario. But for most other people, I do recognize that he's probably just a solid hybrid option. You can use him as a sub, but, like, chain lockers, like, they're not insane. It's just really good as a chain locker because what he does works so well with his captain ability. Like, it's actually really, really cool to see. The next character of the film batch that got a level limit break was actually this man right here. The Big Dog Bullet. This man got an absolute monster buff, and probably the best level limit break plus that I've actually seen so far in a character. He's an absolute demon. I've had so much fun using this character so far, and I am going to take him into some Grand Voyage, because he was actually one of the characters that was really good for Alvida. Now he's going to absolutely decimate it, because with his level limit break, at level 5, he reduces crew's cooldown by 1 turn, strength, quicken, in characters by 4.75, HP by 1.4, boosts his own attack by 5 times, and makes strength, quicken, in orbs beneficial for strength, quicken, in characters, and then makes his own normal attacks super effective against all types. So basically what they did is they gave him cooldown, they gave him higher multipliers, he's a 5 times captain to himself, and he does double damage to everything. So, like, it's disgusting. Being rainbow against all types is so goddamn powerful that this man is just an absolute demon. Not only that, but they buffed his special in a way that Bullet actually has a special now. Now, Bullet was wild without a special. Now he has a viable special. It's just insane what he can do. 2 turns of damage null removal, 2 turns of barrier removals, reduces HP by 25% that ignores all defensive effects, deals 2 times his damage dealt by characters' normal attacks in non-type damage at the end of the turn for 2 turns, and if the crew has normal attacks only, he boosts strength, quick, int character's attack by 2.5 and his own base attack by 1,000. So he can be your attack booster for the team now. 2.5 is nothing to scoff at. Like, I understand I was sort of talking shit on Luffy and Lord at 2.5 times orb boost, but a 2.5 times attack boost is much better than an orb boost. Plus, he can give himself base stats as well. Now, obviously, the base stat boost is just for himself, but remember, he's the one with the super effective against all types. So this guy is an absolute monster. I'm going to slap him straight up into S tier captain. The super effective against all types, cooldowns, very good special. Damage nullification and barrier is very, very hard to come across now. And this guy, like, if you're using him, don't get me wrong, you're going to be using him as a captain. However, you can use him as a sub now. Like, you definitely can use him as a sailor because he can be an attack booster for the team. So, this guy got an absolute huge buff. Very, very impressed with what they did with Bullet, and I really, really actually, like, I love what they did with Bullet. The final character that they gave a level limit break expansion to is actually Sanji. Now, Sanji, the reason they give Sanji a level limit break plus is because his Grand Voyage will be out soon. Whether it's in Powerhouse, we don't know. I feel like it's going to be in Fighter, this particular Sanji right here. And what they did with him, they gave him an insane buff as well. Like I said, all of these characters got very, very good buffs. He reduces his own cooldown by 3 turns at the start of the quest. Oh, hang on. No. That's, Luffy. I forgot to talk about Luffy. Where is Stampede Luffy? Stampede Luffy is another character that I just totally glossed over. He's going to give himself 3 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest. Side Dex and Strength characters get a 4.5 times attack boost. Damage taken received reduces damage taken by 20% and boosts his own attack by 5.25. He makes Psi, Dex, and Strength slots count as beneficial for those characters. Reduces his Spare and Paralysis by 10 turns, and if your HP is below 30%, he boosts the Chain Multiplier by 1.2. So you get a lot of damage output, especially the back end, obviously, because he's built around back end of damage, but you do have to be below 30% HP. He deals 200 times his attack and non-type damage to all enemies, changes his own slot to Psi, boosts his own attack and orbs by 3.25 for 2 turns, boosts his own base attack by 1000 for 2 turns, and for 3 turns, buffs any color affinity boost by 0.25, launched by Psi, Dex, and Strength characters. So, basically that means it gives it the little plus buff, and if you use any color affinity boost after that, you'll add 0.25 to it. So, in my eyes, he's still pretty much just a solid hybrid option, mainly because of his utility in his captain. However, like, if you ran him as, like, you're just never running him as a double captain. Like, it's just not gonna happen, you know? Like, with these guys here, I can see you running them as double captains, but, this character, he's so self-reliant on himself, but at the same time, giving himself so many cooldowns is a great way for him to just go, bink onto a mini-boss. However, it's only 2 turns for his base attack, his attack boost, and his orb boost. I would have loved to have seen 3 turns. That way you could just, pop it on stage 3, carry it into stage 4. If it wipes it away on stage 4, you can pop the other one. But obviously this does take up a lot of your damage, and then you have to rely on stuff like chain boundary units. You have to rely on stuff like chain boosters to actually get all that back-ended damage. Plus you need type advantage too. If Luffy doesn't hit with type advantage, he's not hitting very hard. So I do think this character he got a good buff. He got a very good buff for what he does. However, being so self-sufficient and self-reliant does sort of hold him back significantly. If you want to say he's an A-tier captain, I guess I'll listen to the argument. But like I said, I can see myself one day running Double Brook. Obviously it's not the best to run Double Brook, but if you needed to run Double Brook, I can see why you would run Double Brook. Same with Kuzan, same with the Kainu, same with all of these characters up in A-tier captain. While solid hybrid characters, I just don't ever really see a purpose or a viable way of running. Well, it's not that it's not viable. It's just that it's a lot more challenging to team build for. So that was Luffy. Like I said, the final character is Sanji. Now, Sanji got a very good buff as well. He was all based around his Skywalk ability, and with his level limit break expansion, he gives 4.5 rainbow attack boost to the crew, 1.3 times HP, makes T&D recoveries count as beneficial, and boosts his own attack by 5 times. So, very similar to the Bullet, he's a 5 times captain, 4.75 to the crew. Rainbow to the crew, by the way, so nothing to scoff at. I don't know why they did this to Sanji and make Shanks 4 times, but look, I digress. His special deals 200 times his fixed damage to all enemies, changes all slots, including blocks, into matching. Boost the chain multiplier by 1.4 for 1 turn, reduces chain coefficient reduction, chain lock, burn, and paralysis by 7 turns, and if the character is in the top row, so your captains, boost the base attack, his own base attack by 1,200. So, the 1,200 base attack is kind of whatever, but the reason that is actually pretty good is because of what he can actually do with his Sky Hop ability. So, he does have the ability to Skywalk. So, when he uses his captain action, which is Skywalk, the character will be immune to certain effects. So basically, it's like the Toki Toki ability, but just on the one Sanji, which is a little bit annoying, but you have to, if you're running 2 Sanjis, you can just jump. So say you get 50 turns of despair on your captains, and you have the Sanji jumps up, you won't cop that 50 turns of despair. Same with bind, same with special reverse, same with special bind. All of those nasty effects that apply to whatever slot Sanji is in, or the captains, I should say, sorry. When you activate the Sky Jump, because you can only use it as a captain, he will avoid. Not only that, but he will then not be able to attack for that turn. So basically, you lose 2 characters if you are jumping. Now, that can be detrimental. However, you still do have 4 characters to attack. So the idea is to utilize this in a way that either, you're going to kill with whatever buffs you have, or you set it up in a way that you bring the character down to a low HP, you cop a hit, and then you jump and then you kill that way. So you do have to be pretty, like, switched on when you are using this ability. Because, like I said, you still have your captain ability. However, you are only attacking with 4 units. So be mindful of that. However, on the second turn, when you are in the Skywalk ability, you further boost Sanji. So just the Sanji, his attack by 2 times. So essentially, Sanji is giving himself a 10 times captain ability. Just to himself. Now, if you're running double Sanji, obviously it's a 10 times to himself and a 4.5 from the other captain. So, like, there is that sort of variance there. However, a 10 times captain is insanely strong. Like, it's insanely powerful what this man can actually do. And he can get around effects. Now, you do have to plan that accordingly, but I definitely think that this is at least an A tier captain. Honestly, pushing S tier captain level. 10 times captain to himself is actually insane. However, obviously these characters don't have super types, super classes, and stuff like that. And getting around particular abilities when you plan it is going to be very, very strong. However, it is very finicky. You do lose out on a lot of characters on the team. You're not attacking with 6 characters for 1 turn. But he's special got a really good buff as well, giving you a full board of orbs. He's a 4.5 times rainbow captain, which is great. You can use something like Super Tandem Luffy on the team. Use this guy as your Super Tandem ability for Luffy. Hit very, very hard if you'd say you had 2 bosses or something like that. So he's still a bit wonky in my eyes, but, like, it's the same sort of thing with Tessero. Like, if you use him correctly, like, these 2 characters can do some pretty wild things. And it's a little bit of a different type of gameplay as well. So I do like that they are trying these, like, different things as well. So that's the level limit break characters. I've been rambling on about these guys for ages. But like I said, these level limit breaks have been the best that we have seen so far. But we do have one more to talk about, which is this guy right here, Shiki. Shiki is no longer needs a level limit break or dookie because he got one. He got a 6+. And he actually got an incredibly good 6+, and he actually got an incredibly good level limit break as well. So with his captain, level limit break, and limit break expansion, he's a 5 times captain to Dex, Int, and Quick characters, HP by 1.5, boosts their attack by 5.25 if you're below 30% HP, makes crews recovery, quick, and tandem orbs matching, and allows recovery orbs to be consumed with hitting perfects, and also removes 5 turns of despair. Nice little, like, sprinkle in there of utility. If you don't have him limit break expanded, then you are going to still get the despair. He's a 4.75 times captain, 1.35 HP, so the multipliers go up a little bit. He's a 5 times captain when you're below 30%. Again, the multipliers just get a little bit higher, but he basically does all the same stuff. However, if so basically comparing that to his regular captain ability, you had to hit in, like, Dex, Int, and Quick. So they basically just got rid of that annoying mechanic, and you just get the buffs now, which is very, very nice. His special cuts Crew's HP by 99% and deals 50 times the HP lost in non-type damage to all enemies. Changes all orbs, including block, to recovery. Boosts the orbs of Dex, Int, and Quick characters by 2.5 times. And for 1 turn, boosts the recovery of Dex, Int, and Quick characters by 1.5 times and reduces paralysis and special bind by 6 turns. Now that's with limit break expansion. If you don't have him limit break expanded, with level limit break 5, he gets the extra turn of special bind paralysis. If you don't have him at level 5 level limit break, just with his 6+, he's 5 turns paralysis and special bind removal and a 2.25 times orb boost. So there's not too much of a difference with his level limit break 5 and his level limit break. However, 6 turns is very, very good for Kazuna. And obviously with his limit break expanded, or even just with his level limit break captain, he's still very, very good. Like a 4.75 times captain, 5 times when you do have him limit break expanded, 5.25 when you're below 30% HP, which is very easy to do with this guy because he cuts your HP, right? However, again, he doesn't have a super type, he doesn't have a super class, but they have made him usable in some play. For me, I think this guy is more going to see play as a sailor than a captain, but they did give him a very good, like, captain ability. However, 6 turns of special bind removal, 6 turns of paralysis removal is very, very nice. Removing despair in his captain as well is quite good. But like I said, I feel like this guy's going to see more play as a sailor than as a captain, if anything. However, like, I do think that, like, he's better than all of these sailors down here. So I'm going to put him up in S tier sub for now. Like, I'm really, really impressed what they did with the 6+ of Shiki and his level limit break. I don't think he's on bullets tier, but, like, he's up there with, like, very, very good, like, a very, very good unit, very good captain. He works very nicely. Like, as a captain, like, that HP cut doesn't become so detrimental because you can hit perfects. You can just heal all of those recovery back up. He gives an orb buff as well with his special. Like, it's just very good. Orb manipulation and an orb special, even though he cuts his HP, is insanely good. Unfortunately, if you have burn, you got to be careful. But like, this guy's awesome. Like, he's very, very good. I think they did a very good job with him. Onto the main course now. Onto the new legends that did come with the film Red celebration. We have a Super SUGO Uta. We have a Super SUGO Shanks. We have a regular SUGO Chopper and a regular SUGO Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. Now, I did pull all these characters. I have been playing around with them a lot, and I do like them like quite a bit. I think they're all very, very strong. We're going to start it off with Chopper, because he is a regular SUGO character. Found basically on every banner moving forward, but at the moment he's just on Uta's banner. So, as a captain, he reduces cooldown by 1 turn, boosts int and cerebral characters by 5 times, HP by 1.3, makes recovery and TND slots count as beneficial, heals 4,000 at the end of turn, boosts belly and pirate XP by 1.25, and duplicates any cotton candy drop. So, he's a quality of life captain that still holds viability, as he's a 5 times int and cerebral based captain. You can use this guy to farm cotton candy very, very easily, because like, he now gives XP. He just basically replaced the old Chopper, because when you are finding cotton candy, you're just basically using wave clearers anyway. And if you are like doing actual content, you can build viable teams with this guy, because int is very powerful, and so is cerebral. He's special, heals 50 times his recovery, which can overheal, reduces bind and despair by 6 turns, applies 50% cerebral resistance down to all enemies for 1 turn, and boosts color affinity of int and cerebral characters by 2.25 for 1 turn. If you hit 3 perfects, he's then at 2.5 times color affinity to both int and cerebral characters. Now, if you guys know me, the resistance debuff is insanely good. Like, it's so freaking powerful. If I'm being honest, I like honestly low-key want to put Chopper all the way up the top here in God tier. He is so, so good. And obviously, a lot of players, a lot of quality of life players, are going to pick him up for stuff like cotton candy farming. You can use the old Chopper, obviously. This guy down here in S tier sub. But like this guy's so good. Like, so freaking powerful. Like, Cerebral got a monstrous buff. There's a lot of very good int units in the game. However, I don't think he has sort of the power that some of these other characters provide. Plus, he doesn't have like that super viability in other areas of the game. He's definitely a character you want to try and pick up though moving forward, because he's going to be that cotton candy booster for you guys. And you can do some of this hard content, this newer hard content with Chopper as your captain, because he can actually give like very good damage output with the cerebral resistance. However, it is on the first turn, and then his big color affinity is on the second turn, so like that is a bit of a detriment to this character. However, he's great for taking down stuff like stage 4 fights. The bind and despair removal is great. His Chopper, he's got very, very good supports, and I do think that he deserves to be up here in the God tier. But I think he's probably up here in the high end of the S tier all-rounder. So I'm going to stick him here for now, just because I got some other characters that I do want to talk about. But let me know if you do think Chopper should be in God tier, because I am like really on the cusp. Like he's like right here for me. I think he's much better than Hiyori. Like, lots of people raving on about Hiyori, but like I do think that the Chopper is just, because they both do bind and despair removal, I sort of compare them a little bit, but I do think that Chopper is just better than than the Hiyori. Moving down now, we're gonna take a look at the other regular SUGO that was Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. Now, with the whole Shanks debacle of him not sort of doing what we wanted him to do, or what we thought he was gonna do, whilst like the Bandai did nothing wrong, the wording was just misleading. There was no real information that it was a debuff, and a lot of people were a little bit salty, including myself, that this particular character didn't exactly tick all the boxes that we wanted to. Now, even when he did tick the boxes that we wanted to when we first read him, he still wasn't like a crazy character, but he did overshadow this particular character of Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. Now, I've actually been playing around with this guy, and this guy is no slouch. No joke whatsoever. If this guy was any other class booster, and his ability was for a limit break that was prevalent in that class, this guy would be in like the top 5 best units in the game. Like no doubt. The problem with this guy is he's a shooter character. He's a super shooter character. Now, he's the first super class shooter character in the game, which is great, and I love that they chose the Redhead Pirates, and I love this guy's abilities. As a captain, he reduces 2 turns of cooldown at the start of the fight. Oh, I love cooldowns. Boosts quick and shooter characters' HP by 1.2 times and attack by 5.25. So you can run a shooter team, or you can just slap some cheeky quick characters on there too. When you have a matching slot effect, So it's a 5.25 when you have a matching slot effect, 5 times otherwise. When a character has the barrier penetration potential ability and meets the requirements to activate said potential ability, whenever that character hits a perfect, reduces all enemies' threshold, damage reduction, and defense up by 1 turn. This ability right here is fucking insane. Removing all types of damage reduction, threshold, and defense up by 1 turn just by hitting a perfect with Barrier Pen is insane. If you guys don't know, any legend that has Barrier Pen is always activating Barrier Pen. It's active all of the time. So this particular character, if you deck the team out with legends at level 5 Barrier Pen, you're just getting a free 6 turns of all defensive effects removals besides damage null every single turn, and you're going through barriers. Like, it's wild. The big upside I do like for this guy as a shooter captain is all shooters basically have Barrier Pen. The new Shanks as well, he has Barrier Pen, which is great because obviously with Beckman and Lucky Roo, you can use quick characters as well. His special boosts quick and shooters orbs by 2.25 for 3 turns, sets crew's chain boundary to 2.75 up to 35 times for 3 turns, and if the crew already has an orb boosting effect or has a chain lock multiplier when the special is launched, he's going to buff those buffs. He buffs the orbs by 0.3 and the chain lock by 0.25. So running 2 Beckmans and Lucky Roos as like captains is very viable because not only do you get 4 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest, you get 2 turns of damage reduction, defense up, and threshold. Yes, it stacks. That ability actually stacks, and they are going to buff their own buffs, which is just actually it's insane. It's just crazy what this character can actually. It's just wild. I've been having so much fun with this guy. Next, they do have a super type condition as they are a super class shooter. You need 5 or more shooter characters to be on the crew, and if you do, you can double shooter characters attack for 2 turns and changes all shooter characters into Super SUGO, as well as removing defense up, threshold, and damage reduction by 2 turns. So again, more defense up, more damage reduction, more threshold removal. This guy just basically just destroys anything that has an amazing, has an insanely high amount of defensive effects. And I took him into the Kid Forest, and it was just so much fun, just blasting through all of those effects, which is just so. It's so fun. Like, it's just so freaking fun. I do want to try characters like Carrot and Wonder that like Carrot Wonder as well, and other characters that can use sort of supports that can, say like Usopp with the Conus effect, and then like remove like 3 turns. Like, it's gonna be really wonky, but I'm having a lot of fun with this particular character, as you can probably tell. They also have a super tandem ability that if you have a Usopp, Rockstar, Yasop, Shanks on the crew, at level 5 gives a 2 times attack boost, I'm pretty sure. 2 times attack boost to quick and shooter characters and reduces the threshold damage reduction and defense up by 1 turn. So more defense up removal. However, at level 1 to 3, you need Shanks, Yasop, Rockstar, Usopp on the team. And at level 4, it's just like 1 shooter character and 1 of those said characters as well. So the Super Tandem's great at level 5, but obviously this guy's just a normal SUGO, so you will basically see this guy pop up in regular banners and whatnot. However, I do have one big issue with the unit. But in saying that, I'm sticking him right up here in God tier. This character is so close to being in my top 10. If shooters were just a little bit better, like if they were a little bit better, like he would see play up here. But they are cerebral characters, so they do work well with this lore. Obviously, they work great with Ace and Sabo as well, so like that's another option as well. As for my big issue with this unit is its orbs. Getting matching orbs with Beckman and Lucky Roo is actually fairly challenging. And the thing with this unit is you need tandem orbs for their super tandem. You need matching orbs to get their high captain ability, and they're an orb booster as well for 3 turns. So you really want a character that can actually give you matching orbs. And Ace Sabo for this particular team is perfect because when you switch with Ace Sabo, you're just giving yourself 3 matching orbs, which is very, very viable. It's so handy to have, and it's definitely something that you guys really want to like take note of when you are running this guy. But the ability to just break through defensive effects is unparalleled. As long as you have, obviously, Barrier Pen on your units, and if you're running stuff like shooters, like this guy here has full Barrier Pen, then your Shanks has full Barrier Pen, this guy has Barrier Pen, this guy has Barrier Pen that goes through all effects, this guy has Barrier Pen, Kizaru, Kuzan, the level limit break characters down here, like you have Barrier Pen, you have Barrier Pen, you have Barrier Pen, the Sabo, you have Barrier Pen, you have Barrier Pen, you have Barrier, like, you see where I'm going with this? Like, if this guy has Barrier Pen, this guy's an amazing sub for them as well. You have Barrier Pen, like, you have Barrier Pen, like, there's so much potential that this character can do, and it just makes all those nasty defensive effects, like, just null and void, basically, because of what he can do with not only his super type, his super tandem, and his captain ability, which is just so much fun to use. Something I forgot to mention with Chopper as well, I forgot to mention he has a super type. He's an int super type unit. His super type basically just does healing. It's really nothing too crazy. It does give overheal, which is nice. However, like I said, it literally just gives cooldowns. It gives healing. However, it does give 1 turn of cooldown, which is very, very good when you are farming cotton candy, because you can actually activate this with any of the Straw Hats on the team, as well as having Beppo and Barto, which is super interesting. Yeah, besides the cooldown, the heal is kind of like whatever, but the cooldown is very, very nice. So, yeah. Let's move on to the Super Sugos now, the main course of the video. We're going to kick it off with Uta. Now, Uta did come first as the part 1 sort of Super Sugo for this celebration, and I'm just going to put her exactly where I think she belongs straight away. I do think she sits right here in sort of like 4th position as my 4th best legend in the game. Now, because she's up here in the top 10, I do have to do some changes here. Again, Kaido and Luffy are interchangeable to me. Kaido's better in Treasure Map and Kazuna, which is better for like endgame players, where Luffy's just better in every other aspect. So, like, take what you will with this Kaido. I put Luffy there, but I'm going to put Kaido in front for this month because I'm sort of off Luffy because I pulled him like 1,000 times on Shanks' banner. But because we did add Uta to the top 10 most valuable, she is getting a 6+ soon as well. It does mean we actually have to move a character down, and the character that I'm going to move down is actually Kid. Not that I dislike Kid, but I just think that this particular Kid is a little bit wonky to use with his super tandem because he needs a Luffy character, where Law, like having Luffy, like it just works great. Heat and Wire and Killer are his only other 2 options, and whilst they did get some buffs in those characters, and Strikers are very, very good, I think Kid's one has to be moved down, mainly because Ace Sabo works so well with this guy, as well as going on Shanks' team as well. But they're just so viable for Grand Voyage, where Kid, he's really, really good for 1 Grand Voyage against Luffy. This Ace Sabo is good for like 2, I think it may be even 3. Yeah, 3 against Buggy, Usopp, and no, maybe it's only 2. Maybe I'm talking smack. However, like Ace Sabo, they still have an amazing special ability. They have sort of dropped off a little bit, but like I still think they deserve to be here. As for another thing I want to do, I actually want to bring Law up a little bit. I do think Law is a much better legend than I've given him credit for. Toki is starting to drop off a little bit in my eyes. I wouldn't honestly be shocked if I actually just moved her back to like 10th spot. She's still really, really good with what she actually does, but nowadays she's just not all that. As for Kid, I am going to bring Kid down into S tier all-rounder. Mainly because I have this Kid in God tier, and I think this Kid is just better than the final type Kid. It is what it is, unfortunately. As for Uta, so that's who we're talking about. Uta is actually incredible. She has one of the best special abilities in the entire game, and she has a very, very good captain ability. She reduces her own cooldown by 4 turns at the start of the quest, which is really, really insane. Because when you hear what her special does, like, it makes total sense why she gets the 4 turns of cooldown. Boosts Int, Cerebral, and Striker characters by 5.25, massive. HP by 1.3 times, and reduces Paralysis and Special Reverse by 10 turns. Just absolutely incredible. Her special applies a turn progression activation effect, where each turn, Uta will do a different buff. Now, what this means is it gives you a little icon that looks like a music note. I call it the Rockstar buff, or you can call it the Popstar buff. Whatever you guys want to call it. Applies turn progression activation effect is a mouthful. I don't like it. I'm going to call it the Popstar buff. Basically what it does is on turn 1, it gives your Cerebral and Striker characters a 2.5 times attack boost and a 2 times orb boost. Now, what this means is she doesn't give a 2.5 times attack boost and a 2 times orb boost. The Popstar buff does. So this does not trigger enemy interrupts. Even on turn 1, this does not trigger an interrupt. So say you use this on the Kid Forest, on the Hawken stage, where you can't use an attack boost, he just wipes all your buffs. Uta says, nah, sorry, like, it doesn't matter. Against Sabo Koala in Revolutionary Army 2, where you can't use an an orb buff. No, doesn't matter. Uta's like, I just don't care. It doesn't matter. On the second turn, so it carries in like the clock or the perfect buff, on the second turn, she boosts the attack by 2.75 and 2.25 instead. Amazing. Like, this is for Cerebrals and Strikers, 2 of the best classes in the game, by the way. on turn 3, it's a 3 times attack boost and a 2.5 times orb boost. So if you get this on turn 3, which is very easy to do because Uta gives herself 4 turns of freaking cooldowns, you can activate it on turn 3, and no matter what, you're going to have it till stage 5. Unless the enemy has something that blows away that pop star buff. But if they blow away the pop star buff, she gives Cerebral and Striker characters a 2.5 times attack and orb boost for 1 turn. Like what? 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 Not only that, but she does something else. If you have the pop star buff, she changes all orbs, including blocking, to int, locks them for 2 turns, and gives you a chain boost by 1.4 for 3 turns. So what you can do is you can activate Uta on turn 3, and then carry the pop star buff into the next turn. Use the other Uta special to give yourself an full water orbs, lock them, and then a chain boost, and then carry that into the final stage with a 3 times attack boost and a 2.5 times orb boost. Not only that, but she's a cerebral superclass unit, and all you need is both an attack and orb boosting special effect. And like, guess what? Uta does that, which is just absolutely insane. She then gives a plus 0.25 to attack and orb boosting effects for cerebrals and strikers for 3 turns, and heals 30% of the crew's maximum HP, and changes cerebrals into super cerebral characters. So you can get a 3.25 times attack boost, a 2.75 times orb boost, full water in orbs, and a 1.4 times chain boost potentially on the final stage of easy content. It's wild. She has utility on her captain. She removes paralysis, which is great. Special reverse, which is very, very handy if you are trying to speedrun content. And basically everywhere she's good. Like, she makes the new Shanks absolutely incredible. She makes every cerebral character better. She makes every striker character better. She makes int very, very good. But the wonkiness of her is that she kind of doesn't give int characters the buff. It's only for cerebrals and strikers, so just be mindful if you are team building with that. Most of the time, if you're building her teams, you're building them around cerebrals and strikers anyway, unless you need to bring something like, say for example, the new rare recruit Brook that came out with her is an amazing sub because he removes 5 turns of those damage reduction and threshold and defense up effects, but he doesn't get the buff from Uta. However, it's fine because you can start the chain with him and it's all good. However, when it comes to stuff like Treasure Map, she is going to be good, but she's not like super, super valuable in Treasure Map because they're only 3-stage fights. For stuff like Kazuna, she's going to be very, very powerful, like incredibly powerful, because she can be hybrid up with this guy right here for the side boss, and she's basically your attack boost. For Forest, she's great. For like everywhere, she is so freaking good, except for Grand Voyage. At the moment, she has no viable place for Grand Voyage. She can smash all of them, don't get me wrong, but she has no place where she actually works in, where like these guys here, they definitely do. The only other character that's up here that doesn't have any viable place in Grand Voyage is this guy right here, this guy right here. Everyone else, and Yamato, I think. Everyone, and obviously Togi, but everyone else, and the reason I sort of put Ace Yamato just a little bit higher than what Uta can provide, because Ace Yamato's captain ability is a little bit better, in my opinion, for getting pretty much the entire game done. That's not stuff like endgame content like Kazuna and Treasure Map. As for Kazuna, I do think Uta's better in Kazuna. As for like Treasure Map, I think they're probably pretty on par. But then for Grand Voyage, Ace Yamato sort of takes the cake there. They're both very, very strong. They both have a final tap as well. And Uta's final tap is probably the second best in the entire game. Her final tap at level 5 basically times the chain multiplier by 2.25 for the final tap. So whatever your chain is, say it's a 5 times chain, she turns it into like what, a 12.2, 12.5, whatever that maths is, quick maths. So she has like an insane final tap. The only one that I think's better is the Straw Hats, obviously, and then obviously with Wiping and Roger, they come pretty close as well. Her support is insane as well. She gives a 1.5 times attack and orb boost on any cerebral character whenever they use their special. So it's very, very good. It's awesome. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Cerebral characters getting a 1.5 times attack and orb boost for 1 turn is awesome. As for Chopper, I actually forgot to talk about his support as well. His support is a color affinity booster for Cerebrals by 1.5 that goes on Nami, Robin, and Brook. And as for Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, their support removes 1 turn of defense up, damage reduction, and threshold whenever a character uses a special that is Shanks, Yasop, or Rockstar. So all these characters have great supports as well. But the last character we're going to talk about is the controversy that is Super SUGO Shanks. Now, Super SUGO Shanks, when he first released, when I first read his abilities, I was like, oh no, like they're giving him the Halloween Shanks treatment. And then I read he's super type, and everything was okay. However, the way we read his super type didn't really exclaim that it actually applies a debuff to the enemy. Now, why that is actually a bad thing is because full immunity exists in the game. Now, we were under the impression that it would just change the color. It wasn't like a debuff or anything like that, but it does state in the super type that it does it for 1 turn. So therefore, it's their way of saying, hey guys, it does it for 1 turn, which means it's a debuff. However, I was under the impression that it would do it like page 1 and ultis, where it gives a little buff to them, like it changes their color, or something like the paralysis, you know, like it's not like a debuff on where the debuff is. So look, that's on us for rereading it wrong. However, I wasn't super impressed with the wording. Whilst they didn't do anything wrong, it still felt real shitty. And this character had the potential to be a top 10 character in my eyes. And unfortunately, with the debacle, he's not. Now, I do think he's very, very good still. And I do think he doesn't get enough credit for what he can do still. But with all of the shroud around him, and with Uta being released, it's night and day with Uta and this Shanks release. Like, this Shanks doesn't come close to what Uta can actually do. However, he's still really good when you can actually get him to work. When you can get his abilities to work, he's still a very great cerebral character, very great free spirit sub. And I'm going to talk about what he actually does so you guys can understand. He boosts quick characters by 5 times, 4 times to all other characters, HP by 1.5, boosts quick characters color affinity by 1.1, reduces damage taken by 10%, and makes recovery, tandem, and quick beneficial to the crew, and slightly boosts the chance of landing on quick and tandem orbs. So, pretty solid captain ability. 5 times captain for quick characters, 5.5 with color affinity, 4.5 if you don't have color affinity, and 4 times to the rest of the crew. Now, I would have loved to have this just been 5 times rainbow captain, and then adds 1.1 times to quick color affinity. Like, why not? Like, that way you're building more quick-based teams. However, you can just build rainbow teams with Shanks. You can build cerebral teams, you can build free spirit teams. It's basically what I'm doing anyway, just at a much weaker level. So, 4 times just doesn't really cut it for me. However, with the big C word, the content cycle, 4 times is really all you actually need. It just sucks that it is 4 times when it could have easily been 5. When you've got, like, level limit break for this Sanji up here at 4.5 rainbow, like, why make Shanks 4 times? It just makes very little sense to me. He's special. Cuts the enemy's HP by 10%, ignoring all defensive effects. Changes the left column to tandem and changes the right to quick, going through block orbs. Boosts the chain multiplier by 1.4 for 1 turn. And if 5 or more quick characters are on the crew, he boosts the color affinity of quick characters by 2.75. So the highest color affinity in the game for quick characters. If you don't have 5 quick characters, he's a 2.25 rainbow color affinity booster instead. Not terrible. So basically just like an absolute busted version of Cracker. On, like, when Cracker released, he was a 1.75 times. Color affinity, he was a 1. I think it might have been 0.9 or a 1.1 chain boost. Shanks basically just does that. He's just power crept that. But he does it for Rainbow and doesn't have a condition on it. However, if you have a chain boosting effect and a color affinity effect, he reduces damage reduction and threshold by 7 turns and boosts the chain addition by 0.5. So you can run 2 Shankses and you can get your color affinity boost. You can then get your chain boost. You can get a 1.9 times chain boost. And then you can remove 7 turns of damage reduction and threshold. Now, most of the time you probably won't see this because of what like Shanks does. He's like the highest color affinity booster in the game. He's one of the best chain boosters in the game besides Brook for quick teams. So it's very rare that you're actually going to like be using that ability, but it is something that he can do. I would have loved for them to separate it. Like if you have color affinity, he removes 7 turns of damage reduction, or if you have a chain boost, he removes 7 turns of threshold. Like I would have loved that, but unfortunately it is what it is. But this is where Shanks gets really, really good. He's super type if you have a Luffy, Beckman, Rue, Yasop, or Rockstar, or Uta on the crew. He is going to buff the color affinity by 0.25, changes enemy into strength for 1 turn, but cannot be applied to super type enemies, and changes quick into super quick. So he can change the color of the enemy into strength. The big downside to this is not only does it not go through super type enemies, it does not go through full immunity, which is a huge, huge L for this character, because full immunity is quite prevalent in the game. However, when it's not prevalent, this guy is going to absolutely destroy content. Like, all of the old content in the game, this guy, like, if there's not full immunity, this guy can do absolute bits to. Like, absolute decimation. He's special, gives a lot of damage because he gives his special viability. And being a 3 times color affinity booster, a 6 times captain for quick characters with type advantage is actually busted. So he can do some pretty crazy things. He has a very, very good super tandem ability too at level 5. If you have one of the following on the crew, being Luffy, Beckman, Lucky Roo, Yasop, Rockstar, Uta, he gives a 2.5 times attack boost to quick characters and makes all type swaps beneficial for the crew. So, like, you can just go, like, tap with Uta, tap with Shanks. He hybrids up with Uta. You can put Uta on the team, start the chain with Uta, and get a lot of damage output for the rest of your quick characters, because Shanks is your color affinity booster and your chain booster. So, this guy, for me, is still really, really good. He's going to absolutely demolish, the strength super type, and there's, like, boss, and there's not going to be a better unit in the game to do that. However, because his multipliers are quite low for the rest of the crew, however, you still can bring them on the crew, which makes him very, very nice. I've taken him into Revolution Army 2. I've taken him into some very hard content in the game, and I've managed to no-stall it. Obviously, like, most of these characters can sort of no-stall it, and that's why they are up here in some of the best characters in the game. But I still do think that, like, the drawbacks of Shanks are overshadowing what he actually can do now. Now, this may be my hopium and my bias kicking in, putting him in God tier. I do think he sits right on the cuff of 20th for me. For me, he sits right on the cuff of the 20th best unit in the game. If you guys want to say that Chopper goes up there and then bring Shanks down, I'll accept that as well. But for me, I've been having a lot of fun with this unit, and the reason I want to put him in God tier is because there is no other character besides Law, I guess, because you're then going to hybrid up with this Shanks anyway. There is no other character in the game that can beat the super boss strength unit like Shanks will be able to beat. You don't need to change the enemy to strength, because the enemy will be strength. He's going to be a 6 times captain for your quick characters. He's a cerebral, so you can hybrid him up with this Law. He gives a chain boost shenanigans. He gives the highest color affinity. Law's going to help with the chain boosting. And the combination of these two characters right here are going to absolutely decimate the strength super boss. Like I said, there's no better character in the game that can do that. Kaido is the best Kazuna character in the game, without a doubt. And if, say, you're versing a Dex, super boss, right? Kaido's going to be your man. Like, he's going to decimate it. If you're versing a quick super boss, you can run Sasaki hybrid with Kaido, because Kaido's going to give both the double super class to Sasaki. Now we have Uta in her int variation. When you verse a Sai super boss, you're going to hybrid her up with Kaido. And that way you're going to have Uta hitting insanely hard at the back end, because she's getting double super type condition. When they release a Striker or a... what's it called? If they release Striker and Powerhouse characters that are quick, then Shanks is going to get overtaken and he's going to drop, like, so significantly. But at the moment, they don't have a lot of characters that can help out the Powerhouse and Striker class for Super Boss Kazuna. This, what's her name? Black Maria is a character that can do that, but Black Maria obviously can still work under Shanks as well. Law can't work under Kaido. Law's an amazing unit for that. Like, Carrot Wanda can't work under Kaido. So a lot of these units, like, Akainu is probably the best one that's up here that'll work. And he's a chain locker. You don't want chain lockers when it comes to Super Boss Kazuna, so you got to be mindful of that as well. So, besides maybe this guy right here, but he can go either way with anything, right? Like I said, Shanks is going to be the best at taking down super strength bosses. So, that's a big reason why I have him so high. I've been having a lot of fun with him, mainly because Uta exists. Like, if Uta wasn't around, this guy would not be nearly as good as what he actually is. I do think Uta is just way better, like way, way better than what Shanks is. I even think that Lucky Roo and Ben Beckman, they are better than Shanks as well, which is a bit of a bummer. But when Shanks works and you get him in his best position, he's going to absolutely destroy anything you put in front of him. Like, it's absolutely wild, like, what this man can do. And having that 4 times, whilst it is 4 times and it's quite low, actually separates him from the pack a little bit, because that just means you can put any character on the team, and you can use any characters to get around content. You can use basically any cerebral character. You can use any free spirit character that works quite nicely. But for me, like I said, I would have just loved to have seen him be a 5 times Rainbow Captain, then do all those quick shenanigans. But that's going to wrap up the video. That was a massive, massive tier list today. So if you guys stuck around to the end, I appreciate the absolute hell of you. Let me know in the comment section if you got to this point. And let me know your thoughts and opinions of the tier list. There's some massive changes as well. And like I said, not a lot of people are going to agree with me. And I totally understand that. And look, this is probably like, I'm looking at this and I know it's probably a bias, but super tandem characters are always going to find their way up very high on the tier list. For me, I think Whitebeard and Roger still is the best unit in the game. If someone said to me that Luffy crew with their final tap is the best unit in the game, I definitely agree. I can definitely agree because I can definitely see it. However, Whitebeard and Roger for me just make every single team better, where Luffy crew, they don't always make every single team better. Most of the time they can, but like for Kazuna, they're great. These guys are great everywhere. But I do understand that. As for third, Ace Yamato, their ability to remove blind and special one is what gets them so high. Conditional boost, guaranteed conditional. Their amazing attack boost to strikers and free spirits is great. Uta, probably one of the best specials in the game, if not the best special in the game. Kaido being the best Kazuna character, like without a doubt. If you get cooldowns for Kaido, you're using Kaido basically. He just has so much damage. Luffy, basically amazing everywhere with his super tandem ability. Free Spirit being so damn strong as well. Law, probably one of the best design units in the game, well, this year. Shout out to Papi, quoted by the great man himself. I definitely agree. He's probably one of the best units, best design units so far this year. As for the Yamatos, they still hold their own, getting Wano Orbs. Great final tap, great super type. They've been on a lot of banners, so a lot of people probably have their final tap at level 5 as well. Both the int variation for Driven are great. The Psy variation for Free Spirits is awesome as well. Ace, Sabo, probably the only Kazuna unit you really want to chase, besides maybe Toki, just because they're so good in Grand Voyage. Plus, they make some of these teams like really good as well, being a really good orb booster for free spirits and shooters who are starting to get a bit of a rise. Toki, her Toki ability is what's holding her in the top 10. Her multipliers have been power crept, but like her Toki ability is what's keeping her here. She's a great rainbow captain, she's a great speed captain, so she can do a lot of stuff there as well. All these top 10s, like if you run them as captain, they're very viable. Like these guys have like really good utility. These guys are incredibly powerful with the best switch ability in the game. Best last tap, great captain abilities here. So all of these 10 characters are the best in the game. As for the god tier, the order I would probably put them in looks a little bit like this. You're really good for Grand Voyage. You have great utility, but your multipliers are quite low. I think you probably deserve to be a little bit higher. And Roger's honestly kind of needs to drop off. He's up here because he's just still so viable with new players. So this is probably the next sort of like the next 20 that I would sort of look at. Kid super tandem characters always going to be insanely high up. Same with Ben Beckman and Lucky Rude. Like they're so close to being top 10 for me. If shooters had some like more like just some more support, they would be where Toki is for me, in my opinion. Carrot and Wanda, like they just age like fine wine. They're still a wonky captain, but their sub potential is unparalleled. You can use them as a captain though too. Like don't get me wrong, if you know how to team build, you can use his character to speed farm content, and it works very nicely. The ability of Bon Clay just to sort of chop and change into whatever you guys want is great. Sasaki, amazing with this guy right here. Same with X-Drake. Without Kaido, these two characters wouldn't be as good as they are. Roger, just a great all-round captain. The waifus, very good because they are, again, the best color affinity in the game, and great utility. Frankie, another amazing character for Grand Voyage. A big reason why he's up here in the god tier. Very good switch ability, very good special. However, as a captain, has quite low multipliers and sort of sees more play as a sub. And then as for Shanks, like I said, I'm still tanking him everywhere, but like he is still so freaking phenomenal. When you put him in the right position, he will shine. But alright, so I was doing some editing and I had a bit of a look at some stuff, and I do want to make it just a few changes. I think Kid needs to be brought back up into the top 10. Honestly, I probably think he's better than Yamato, and if I was going to drop anyone out, I'd probably drop Yamato out before I dropped Kid out, now that I'm really looking at it. With Hiyori, I think Hiyori and Chopper are pretty much on par with each other. Chopper, you're only really using as a captain because of his cotton candy games, but you can use him elsewhere. Hiyori, I think she's just such a super sub. However, she can be used as a potential captain as well. Sort of like what I have for like this Carrot Wonder argument, right? So there's that. As for like Frankie, he's good in Grand Voyage and other pieces of content as well. But as for the character that I want to bring down from top 10, I am going to bring down Toki. While Toki can sort of do things that other characters can't, I do think she's probably just outside the sort of top 10 nowadays. You could probably interchange Sabo and Ace with Toki, or even like Yamato with Toki, depending on what you... Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think that Yamato's probably dropped out of the top 10. She's still really, really good because of great chain boost, but with the combination of like Yamato and Ace as well as Kaido, like she's sort of like everything that she does that was sort of so specific to her has now been like pretty much replaced, if I'm completely honest with you. So I think I probably want to do something like this. I actually think that works a little bit nicer, or even something like Sabo and Ace would move out as well. But it depends on what you value more in terms of what you would see is being more beneficial. But like the rest of the game still does take a huge part in like play, and like the ability that the Toki Toki ability, what Ace and Sabo can provide for Grand Voyage and stuff like that can't be ignored as well. So let's wrap up the video. Like I said, let me know in the comment section if you guys agree, if you disagree. I would love to know. While you're down there, though, don't forget to belt the like button. If you are new and you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. But most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are in this beautiful world. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates!